So our candidates for Tempe Union are Perdetta Hodge, Viola Clyte, Deanne McCllintock, Brandon Schmoll, and Vikas Srivastava. We will start with 2-minute opening statements. Ms. Hodge, if you would like to start, please.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Perdetta Hodge, and I want to first start off by saying I'm a product of this district. Even though I'm sitting in McCllintock, I graduated from Tempe High School, and I have 2 wonderful sons who actually, one graduated from McCllintock in 2012, and he's at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., and I have one still here as a sophomore in the Peggy Payne Academy. And that's a little bit about my kids. And you know what? The reason why I'm running today is because I believe that this district has done wonderful things for me. Even with the Tempe Elementary School District, I went through Tempe Elementary School District. I am proud to say that I went to Nevitt, Gillen, and then I went to Tempe High School. So I feel that I should pay it forward. I believe that you matter. I believe that I run the You Matter campaign, meaning that every single person in here matters. Students, teachers, community, parents, we all matter. And I believe that we all deserve, I think that all our students deserve a game plan after high school. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running today. Thank you, you guys have a wonderful day. And I also want to start off by thanking McCllintock High School for doing such a wonderful job and making us feel so warm and comfortable. And I love the fact that my name is out here. So, thank you so much.
Ms. Clyte.
Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me and for organizing this wonderful forum. Thank you, Ms. Mack, and your AP and PP classes. I really appreciate it. It's very refreshing to see young minds like yours, such as yours, doing such great things. So thank you for that. I truly believe in high standards in education. They will provide us with a bridge to a better future. All of us parents want the best from our kids. We all want our kids to excel. It was Nelson Mandela who believed that education happens to be the best weapon that we have in order to change the world. My husband and I have lived in this district for over 22 years. Before we moved here, the schools were a big game changer for us because we really wanted to be in the schools where our kids could go and excel. We didn't have kids yet, but of course, we chose to live in this community for that reason. I have 2 sons, both of them attended Highway Elementary and Tempe Union. Our oldest son was able to really excel at Desert Vista, and he's currently over at Barrett studying mechanical engineering. And because of his exceptional teachers that he met along the way, he was able to attain so much. I still have a junior presently, and he's learning on that attainment. He's trying to earn that same attainment as my other son did. I want all of our students, all of the kids in our district, whether they're in elementary school or going into high school, middle school, I want them all to have the same quality of education my children had. Thank you.
Ms. McCllintock.
Thank you. I'm Deanne McCllintock, and I'm running for the Tempe Union High School Board for a second time. I served on it for 4 years. And I tell a lot of people when they ask me, why are you running? The 2 things I've done in my life that I'm most proud of are raising 2 amazing kids, and they also went through Tempe Union. They both graduated from Corona. One's graduated from ASU and is attending law school now, and the other one is about to graduate from the U of A and become a teacher. So I'm super proud of them above everything. But I'm also really proud of the service I gave to the district for 4 years, and I did take a couple-year break, but I am ready to go back and do it again. And one of the reasons is we have a lot of educational knowledge, a lot of experience. But part of running a school district is managing was almost $100 million budget for Tempe Union, 7 facilities. And that's what I've done for my whole career. For 30 years, I've been in finance and facilities management, and I think I add a lot to the school board, and I will add more to the board and make sure that we continue not just the high education standards, but our high community values, and of course the property values that we all care about. Most of us in this room moved here or stayed here because of our education system, and I want to make sure we continue that so our kids will stay here and do it.
Mr. Schmoll?
I'd like to thank all the students for putting this on. It's always great that we can gather and talk about education in a very candid and professional way. I'd also like to thank the parents and the other candidates for showing up and putting their input into everything. And the community members, I know it's maybe not on the top of your list to show up to a candidate forum and listen to us, so I'll respect your time and give you a quick introduction. I'm running for Tempe Union Governing Board because I believe all children in our community should have access to the high quality education that we provide here. Currently, the district has achieved a very high level of academic excellence, and as a board member, I will strive to maintain and improve the current DA rating. When I was younger, I graduated from Tempe Union High School, as well as some of the other candidates here, and went on to get my bachelor's degree in business administration. Having very involved parents was very important. They set the bar high for me, and I think that helped prepare me for college, for life, and for just my career in general. Some of the things that, if elected, I'd like to focus on creating higher standards for the students, because I know the bar was set very high for me. I'd like to continue that with students in the future. And also reduce class sizes. One of the things that I learned when I went off to college is academically I responded very well to small class sizes, and now I'm very passionate about lowering the class sizes, and if that's at all possible, I will definitely look into that. And also better communication from the district. There's been a few issues with the district, and one of the big things that I've heard from parents when I go out and talk to the community is that they wish they knew a little bit more that was going on in the district, and that they'd have a little more heads up as to what the district was planning and what they were doing. So thank you.
Mr. Shrivastava?
First of all, I wanted to also echo my thanks to all the McCllintock AP students who are putting this on, as well as staff, Kim in particular. I got my start when I was roaming these halls myself, long before any of your time. Sorry, I have been trying. And anyway, when I was roaming these halls, I got involved in the overrides, and I noticed that at the local level, there are people who just care about the community. And I want to be a part of that. I want to be a civic leader here as well, to give back. And I also want to thank all of you for showing up today. It's an amazing turnout here tonight. I think that the way we will maintain our high-quality schools that brought my dad to the U.S. originally is having that community involvement. And he came here for a world-class education and to give my sister and I the opportunity to live the American dream. That's why he named me Vegas after the Hindi word for progress. Since then, I grew up in South Tempe. I went to Kyrene schools. Then I came up here to attend the Peggy Payne Academy here, and then went on to ASU. Now I've founded my own business. I manage financial databases, customer relationship databases for other organizations, mostly on the West Coast. And I've helped start a company that makes business in a box kits for kids. And I'm a classroom volunteer. I teach financial literacy and business skills to 7th graders. Prior to that, I worked for the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship on the East Coast and Junior Achievement in South Asia. And everywhere I've been, I've noticed that if you empower young people with skills like critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, you can empower every student to reach their full potential as leaders in society, as creators, as innovators. And after attending school here, after serving on the site council, I can attest that our teachers are fantastic, our district is fantastic. And we must maintain that quality, but we also must progress further to a relevant 21st century education that prepares every student for college, career, and life.
Let's move on to the question portion, starting with Ms. Hodge. It will be the same question that the elementary started out with. Please describe one thing your district does well and one area where your district can improve.
Okay, I think that our district does well is being here since I graduated in 1991 and being a student and actually being a parent in this district. I believe that our district has came together in unity. That's one thing we have done well. We've brought our district together as not just different schools as one district. And that's one thing that I've actually seen happen. I've actually seen it happen personally from a student's point of view and as a parent's point of view. And one of the things that I see that we can do, I shouldn't say we don't do a great job at it, but I do see that I get out there in the community is when parents come to me and they say, we don't have the communication because the fact of the matter, some parents are not computer savvy and they don't get on the websites. So they don't know exactly what's going on in the classrooms or when the next board meeting is. I think that we should have a way, maybe some, if parents we can have, I know we go green, but maybe we can have some paperwork that we can still send out to different, okay, thank you. Okay, to actually send out towards, for parents who need that extra support and the communication of it.
Ms. Clyde.
I believe that the greatest strength of the Tempe district happens to be the nature of individual education and all the experiences offered. Each one of our 7 schools, that includes your wonderful McCllintock Academy, whether it's the 4 academies at Mountain Point, or all the AP classes, honors classes offered throughout our district. And let's not forget All-Star Confederate for those in need. We offer a variety of education. All 7 high schools have something else to offer, and that to me is very valuable. Together with this kind of offering of instruction, we can get our community involved and community that's going to want to stay and be educated in our school districts and not go somewhere else. As for something that I believe we lack, I would also say that it is communication. Rumors can be started, and we need to clarify them. Thank you.
Ms. McClanahan.
Thank you. There are so many things that we do well at Tempe Union, so I hate to pick just one, but I think that we are amazing stewards of our finances. I think we have chosen district staff and board members who can really take care of some of our greatest assets. Besides our students and our teachers, we have 7 incredible high schools. We have very limited funding, and our district has done a great job stewarding that money. One of the things I was reminded of tonight that I think we can improve upon is listening to our students. One of our goals is to give them the skills necessary for success in college, career, and life. And I think these are students who are reaching adulthood, and we need to listen to them more than we do.
Mr. Schmoll.
I have a niece that attends school here in the district, and I asked her what she liked about her school, and she said the library and the teachers. And I think that's essential to education, that we have great teachers. I was amazed that she said that, and at her age I probably would have said something different. But in terms of what the district does well, it does a really good job of educating their students right now. If you look at the rest of the state, we are a very high-ranking district. And as with anything, there's room for improvement. As mentioned with some of the other candidates, communication, getting parents involved, and Burdetta touched on a point in terms of getting the parents involved with the students, and that they might not be very tech savvy. I agree. We need to figure out why they're not getting involved. If it's because they can't log on to a computer or what. Thank you.
Mr. Srivastava?
I would say, both from personal experience and knowing a lot of the educators here, the staff in this district is just fantastic and second to none. I think that me personally, when the teachers are the ones who gave me the highest quality education that I could ever have asked for. And I am constantly and eternally grateful for that. I think on the converse side, what we need to do is support them better. We're losing the teacher retention and recruitment game because we are not we're not supporting our teachers well enough in terms of the work environment, in terms of compensation as well as we should. And then beyond that, I think the way we can do that is be more collaborative in our leadership, in how we manage our finances, in how we work with other districts, other municipalities, in handling our budget effectively. So there are many ways we can work together with Kyrene and Tempe to manage our warehousing, our transportation, other ways we can save money and focus it towards increasing student outcomes and learning by supporting our teachers and supporting the in-classroom activities.
The next question, starting with Ms. Clyde, is what training or education qualifies you for a position on the school board?
Thank you. I have been in education for over 10 years. And as any teacher, I did not go into that field because of the money. It's because of the passion for the students. As a parent, I know also the other side of the coin. I know what it is to have a student in this district. It is very important to me that this district will be excelling as it has. But unfortunately, we do have more competition all around us. We need to stay ahead. So because of my experience, both at a classroom level and as a parent, I believe I would be a great board member.
Ms. McClanahan?
Thank you. I graduated with a degree in business management, but that was a long time ago, and I don't think that's what gives me the right to become your elected official. I think what I bring that other candidates have not is two things. One is a long career with finance and facilities. I bring different questions to the board meeting on Wednesdays. I bring 4 years experience on the board, and we are about to lose 2 existing board members, and we're going to have one person who has more than 2 years experience on the board left. And I don't think that is going to give our board enough leadership, and that's why I want to serve again, so that I can bring that experience back. There will be one person who remembers serving with another superintendent.
Mr. Schmoll?
I've been on 3 boards in the past, so I have board experience. I've been the president. I have that leadership experience. I have a background in finance as well. I used to be a financial advisor. It was my first career out of college. And I think that's very important right now because the district is kind of going through a sort of financial triage where they've got to figure out where to put the resources. And of course, I think the answer to that is putting it into the classroom and the teachers and towards the students. I also I listen to the community, and what the community wants, I'd like to give them what they ask for. Thank you.
Mr. Srivastava?
I think we're at a crossroads in education, and we can continue to teach the way we've always taught, or we can look at more innovative 21st century ways to make sure that we deliver our education, so that students are prepared when they leave high school for the rest of their life, college, career, and life. And I think with my background, both as a classroom volunteer teaching these skills like financial literacy and business skills, working across the world with students, teaching skills that will prepare them for life after high school. I have that vision and that understanding of what works in terms of pedagogical approaches with our students. And so I want to provide that vision on the board that's different than I think what normal board members, the usual board members have. And so I want to make sure we provide that as well. Now in terms of also the, I understand what the schools are like now, being in the classroom, having been a recent graduate, and I want to make sure that we are very diligent about listening to the staff and the district in promoting a better classrooms.
Ms. Hodge?
Okay. In addition to being in the district, I've been in the district for about 20 years. I've been in over 15 different committees, from finance to curriculum to advisory to site. I've even been on the override. I've actually been president of 4 different PTAs. I've been in PTOs and booster clubs. But the finest thing, I've actually been a corporate trainer, but I think the biggest thing I can bring to this is I'm a parent, I'm a community leader. I believe in our schools, I believe in our community, I believe that that's what we need. We can have financial training, but we need a community building, we need a buy-in of our kids, of our students, and I believe that's what I would bring to the board when I actually come aboard. Thank you.
I think a lot of you have already answered this question in your opening statements, but starting with Ms. McCllintock, have you had or will you have your children attend this district schools, and what makes you comfortable or uncomfortable with your child attending them?
I sat on a computer in Atlanta, Georgia, when we decided to move to Arizona, and I chose this city because of its schools. We chose to live in the Arizona High School District, specifically so I could send my children there. They were in middle school at the time, but time flies, and we knew high school was coming up. So that's why I moved here. They both graduated from Corona, and I wouldn't hesitate to send anyone's children here.
Mr. Schmoll?
I've got quite a few nieces, and I haven't been blessed with kids of my own yet, but I have the forethought of trying to get involved with the schools and make the improvements that I would want for my child in the future before it's too late. I think for most of these candidates that already have kids in the school, it's probably too late to affect change for their own students. So they're really need to look to the future generations. But I think our school district does an absolutely excellent job of educating kids, and I have no problem recommending schools in our high school district to, my brother who wants to send his nieces here, or even my kids in the future. So yeah, I completely support the school district.
Mr. Shrivastava?
I was born and raised here, and this will always be home. I could never consider moving elsewhere. I've traveled a lot, all over the world, and I love every place I go. A lot of my friends have moved to DC or Bay Area or New York or elsewhere, and I get that. But what I feel whenever I come back on that plane and we dip underneath the clouds and I see those red hills, I always know that this is home and nowhere else will be. And so that's why I started my business here. That's why I stayed involved here. That's why I went to college here. I always want this to be my home base. And when I am hopefully blessed to have kids, I would love for them to come to school here.
Ms. Hodge?
Yes, not only did I graduate from school here, my brothers graduated from, I had a brother graduate from Mountain Point, another brother graduated from Tempe. My 2 boys, my one son, he's already graduated from McCllintock. I have one still here. I would be honored to have my grandchildren come here. So yes, I am a product of this district, and I feel very proud and honored to have my kids go here, that I live here, and like I said, I would hope any day that my grandchildren come here also.
Ms. Clyde?
As I mentioned earlier, I have the 2 sons one who has attended Tempe Union and is finishing currently over at ASU. And because of his experience in his school, I am hopeful my younger son will also have the same kind of experience I am so grateful for the wonderful teachers that we have in our district. As a teacher, I know it is frustrating at times when you have to spend your own money to supply your own classroom. I will be there for those teachers. I want to make sure that the teachers will have sufficient funds. It's very important. That might be one thing that actually is not settling with me well in the district, because I believe we need to be more supportive of our teachers, and we need to retain those exceptional, inspiring teachers. Unfortunately for me, thank you.
So this next question is directed specifically at Mr. Schmoll and Ms. Clyte. Why are you two running as a team, and what views do you share in common, and how are these views different from the other candidates? And for the other candidates, are you part of a team? And if you are not, why not? And if you are, what views do you share?
Do you want me to go first, or?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's easy to answer that question. The economics of running a campaign for a district of 188,000 voters is expensive. You know, it's not easy to get your message out there when you have to confine yourself to spending money on just one sign, or you know, it just makes it a lot easier to manage that many voters as a team. And I think Viola and I most closely align on our views, and I completely support Viola. She's got 10 years of teaching experience, and she's got a son that just graduated from the district, and a son that's in the district. And I know for a fact that they're extremely intelligent kids, because she talks about you know, their AP classes that they're involved with, and you know, just how much they've achieved. So that's why I'm working as a team with Viola.
Mr. Shrivastava?
Everything I've done in life in which I've been successful. When I was in high school in debate, I was partnered with someone who I disagreed with ideologically, and we were very successful there. When I was in the Flynn Brown Civic Leadership Academy, and I partnered with folks of all different ideologies to come up with solutions to Arizona's problems. Everything I've done that's been successful, I found that you come up with better, more sustainable results. And that's why early on in this campaign, I reached out to Burdetta, and we decided to work together as well. Not necessarily at all because it was more economically feasible, but because I believed in her. I think that everything I admire in a leader, I see in Burdetta. And someone who shows up to every booster club and PTO and advisory board, even when it's hard to even get anyone a quorum for these meetings. Burdetta's always the one leading the charge on this. And so I think at this level, it's people who care enough to show up, people who care enough to collaborate are the ones who I want to work with, and that's why I chose her.
Ms. Hodge?
As I said, Vic is just, he said everything. I mean, I've actually met him when he was a sophomore in high school. And when he was a sophomore in high school, he was more mature, more knowledgeable than most people my age. I am honored to be working with Vicus every day. He teaches me something every day about education, and I'll tell you a story instead of telling you all the things. Vicus graduated from college this May. No, not only did Vicus graduate from college, and he didn't go out and party, he didn't go out and celebrate, he called me the very next morning at 8 a.m. and said, Burdetta, what are we doing today? That's dedication. That has nothing to do with age, that has everything to do with determination and experience and ready to focus and give the best of this district that he has gotten back from this district. And that's why I'm working with Vicus. Thank you.
Ms. Clyte?
I am very honored that Brandon was able to run with me, and we were able to actually get our resources together. I recently left a school where I was teaching for 3 years, and it is expensive to run a campaign. So I want to make sure that I would give all of me to this campaign, and because of that, I could not work any longer. So since Brendan and I are neighbors practically, it was best thing for me to do to run with Brendan, since I know him. I share the same passions that he shares for the students, for our schools. He graduated from our school a while ago, but I haven't, but I figured since I'm a teacher and he's a former student, maybe we make a great team together.
Ms. McCllintock?
I'm not running on a team with another school board candidate, but I am running with a team of people who watch me serve this district and said to me, for the last 2 years, you've got to go back and do it again. We'll support you 100%. So I have a lot of support. It's not about the fundraising. That's hard, but we all manage it. I think the question was, do we share values or issues with the person we're running with? And I didn't hear the answers, but I can tell you that when I have an opinion on an issue, I'm the first one to speak up. I will tell you what it is, and I'll get up and fight for you.
The next question, starting with Mr. Srivastava, is, did you vote for the last bond and override for Tempe Elementary and Tempe Union? And if so, what other activities did you do to support the election?
You're darn right I did. I think it's so important, especially with the way education funding has been cut consistently, that we at least support our own local schools. And I think that, especially when we have such a high-quality district and such great leadership, we need to stand behind them and support them. Because if we don't vote for those overrides, it's not just the students who suffer, but it's also ourselves, because we have a worse off community, we have worse off property values, and it's just the worst place to live. And I think that that's just not civically responsible. I was very involved in the 2008 overrides. That's actually where I first got started. I organized dozens of student volunteers back then to pass the 2 overrides and the bond to fix the issues at Corona at the time. And I was very proud of the work I did there. That's actually how Dave Foreman became a mentor of mine, and also David Shapiro on both sides of the scale. And I think ever since then, I've been glad to continue my growth as someone who cares about education.
Ms. Hodge?
Yes, I actually, I worked in the back end of the Tempe Elementary. A lot of people don't know that. I actually went and knocked on doors, but I actually was on the committee for the last override, so I definitely agree with it. And I actually got the chance for the first time in my life to work with my son. My son, who had just graduated from high school, was one of the leaders of that committee. So I was proud to say that both me and my son both worked on the Tempe Union High School override, and we both worked on the elementary one. So yes.
Ms. Clyde?
I have not voted for the override or the bonds. And the reason for it is because I was not informed enough as a parent, as a community member, as to where the money would be going to. As a parent, I think we all, once we vote for something, we should have itemized, not a finance person, but we should have itemized lines of where that money is going to. 52 cents of a dollar is only going to our classroom. That's going to the teachers. That's educating our kids. That's wrong. In our district, we remodeled our board. I honestly believe we could have spent that money somewhere else, maybe with the teachers and the students. But that's why I did not vote for that, because I like to have things spelled out exactly where they're going. I am fiscally responsible. I'm a mom, and I care about my schools.
Ms. McClanahan?
I'm a mom, and I care about my schools too. And technically, I voted for the Kyrene override fund and Tempe Union because I didn't live in Tempe at the time. But I will in November. Again, this is why we live here, because our community supports education, and this is how we do it. The information is absolutely available on a line item basis where every dollar goes, and I served on the board that created that budget and voted on it. I voted on the board and I voted for it personally. personally.
Mr. Schmoll?
Unlike Eli, I don't live in the Tempe Elementary District, I'm in the Kyron District, so wasn't able to vote for that. But it is important that their classrooms and their teachers are properly funded. You know, the school boards actually had to sue the state just to get the inflationary funding that voters approved back in 2000, and you know, it's looking like the settlement for that is going to be a lump sum. And while I think that the schools need money, I don't think it's in the best interest to be getting lump sum funding from the state, because you're required as a school board to spend it in that year unless you have an empty, rainy day fund, which can only be a certain percentage of your budget. I was also a little bit concerned with some of those overrides and bonds, because I was getting robocalls from construction companies who I thought might have an interest in rebuilding the building that was discussed. Thank you.
The next question, starting with Ms. Hodge, is, would you, and if so, how would you make sex ed more inclusive for LGBT students and their relationships, and what position does safe sex have in the curriculum?
I would, can you repeat that question again? That's a mouthful.
How would you make sex ed more inclusive for LGBT students and their relationships, and what position does safe sex have in the curriculum?
Well, actually, I would actually have a committee done so we can get their information, how much, because I'm not really educated a lot in the LGBT community, so I would love to get more information on what they would, I would definitely put it in there. I'm stuttering, so I guess that question got me off guard. And the second part of it, I most definitely would put, I would definitely put safe sex in there. We need protection. I think that you can teach I'll just use this terminology, even with the LGBT part. You have a 2-year-old. You tell that 2-year-old not to swim. You tell that 2-year-old the reasons why not to get in the pool. But if you don't teach that child how to swim, are you really teaching that child to be safe from that pool? And that's what I feel about sex education also. I think that as much as we want to put, we do believe in abstinence, I do believe in abstinence-based education, but I also believe that we need to teach our kids about safe sex.
Ms. Clay?
As a mother, I do take that very seriously when it comes to educating my children. First-hand education comes from home. We are a unit. My children are my responsibility. I am going to teach them, talk to them about sex, because it comes from home. You learn something from the book doesn't mean you're going to apply it. I believe in abstinence. It's great for children to stay true to themselves and to what was taught at home to them. As for sex education, I believe the parents are enough. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I believe that my children will have to grow up at some point, and I trust them enough that they will make the right decisions. I believe in my children. I hope you will.
Ms. McClanahan?
Thank you. I believe in my children too. And I stood up at a recent board meeting and spoke for 3 minutes after writing a letter to the current board about what was wrong with the LGBT chapter. Actually, I can't do that in a minute, but I would absolutely fight to make sure that we have clear, accurate information. And we have students, we have professionals who can help us with this. We do not have to provide them what is on the table at the moment, and I hope that we don't. If I'm on the board, we won't. Our sex education curriculum will absolutely include safe sex, including STDs and contraception. I want to make sure that we have as few students as possible in our teen parenting program as we possibly can. Our students are asking us to do this for them, and I believe we should do it.
Mr. Schmoll?
think the other candidates made some great points. Regardless of their views, our children need to understand the risks involved with sex, and it can be a discussion that they can have with their parents, or they can opt to have the school teach them if that's what they prefer, whatever they're comfortable with. But I definitely do think we need to look into it further. But I am a little dismayed that the current board hasn't, after a year of working on a sex ed curriculum, hasn't come to an agreement on what should be in our schools. And as a candidate, I see that as dysfunction. I think the board needs to really work together to find some common ground and get this thing taken care of.
Mr. Srivastava?
First of all, I am so proud of you all for asking that question. It makes me happy to be a charter. I think my number one focus in this campaign is as a prospective board member, is to prepare students for college, career, and life. And so the reason why I talk about life is because we need to make sure that students leave high school prepared to make the right decisions about their personal health. And I think that we must be direct, comprehensive, and medically accurate in the way we teach sex ed, because otherwise, students must leave high school with the ability to make the right decisions for their own personal health. Now, for the parents who want to take on the responsibility of educating their own children, that way districts should be providing the resources for them to do so and get them an opt-out method. But for the entire student population, we need to make sure that we have a really good option for them to learn. Because if we do anything less, we're failing them. And I think that speaking directly to the LGBT part of the question, I think as a whole we need to be teaching all of our curriculum in a way that promotes understanding, inclusion, and diversity of all identities and orientations. Because in the real world, we'll have to do well with cooperating and collaborating with all sorts of people, including our friends and family who are LGBT.
The next question, starting with Ms. Gleit, is what is your opinion of Common Core or the college and career readiness standards, and how familiar are you with them?
Well, my opinion of Common Core is a bit of a mixed one, but for the most part, I am against it because it has not proven to me that it actually is working. We have spent $360 million federal funded money on pilot programs of testing PARC less grade. We don't know the results of this. We just know that it took the children less time than they thought it was going to take those tests. And so now we are being guinea pigged, really, on these PARC assessment tests. Unfortunately, Ames failed Arizona. It wasn't the right fit for us. I believe that teachers, our community people, the board, local involvement is the most important. We know our children.
Ms. McClanahan?
I'm familiar enough with Common Core to know that it's not the job of the school board to decide whether we should implement it in our schools. It's our job to implement it. The state legislature made a decision several years ago, and so we can say that Ames failed us, we can say that we're guinea pigs, but what we need to be saying is that our students need critical thinking skills. They need to understand the material, not just feed it back to us. And that's tough. It's really hard it was hard to develop those criteria, and it's going to be harder to develop the right assessment. And I don't think we're guinea pigs. I think we're on the forefront of creating a better model for our students.
Mr. Schmoll?
I'm glad that Deanne mentioned that it's not up to the school board to decide whether we adopt Common Core or not. It's simply the implementation. I think it's unfortunate that Common Core has become such a partisan issue with the stigma attached to it. If you talk to Republicans, it essentially is synonymous with federal takeover of the education system. And if you talk to Democrats, they believe that it's a higher standard, and it makes us more attractive to businesses coming to our state. Just going based off of the last debate for governor. So it's definitely an interesting issue, and I think it's important that we do raise standard from AIM standard. I think AIM was too low of a standard for our students, and they deserve better than that. But I really need more than a minute or two to discuss something like this.
Mr. Srivastava?
Gosh, I never realized the Chamber of Commerce was a Democratic organization. I think that the Common Core, the idea of it is to focus less on rote memorization and more on critical thinking. I think that's a good thing. I think that it raises the bar to ensure that our students graduate high school prepared to be competitive in the workforce. That's why the Chamber supports it. I think that it provides an apples-to-apples comparison so that we can actually measure an Arizona student against a Massachusetts student or a Florida student, so we actually know what we're doing well and what we can improve on. And I think another thing that it does well is it allows districts to have the autonomy to decide how we're going to implement and teach it. And so we need to make sure that we're implementing it correctly. And so I want to ensure on the board that we do that and not just have it be a repeat of an Ames-like test, but have it really focus on the critical thinking and focus on preparing students for college, career, and life.
Ms. Hodge?
I agree with you, Ms. I think that when I was going to school, and a lot of us in here, you remember doing the timetables. You just remember doing 5 times 5 is 25. Not knowing why is 5 times 5 is 25, you just know that 5 times 5 is 25. And I believe right now that our kids need more critical thinking. And I believe that, as any testing and anything in the beginning, it's automatically going to be, everybody has to be a part of the test subject, because you can't start anything without having test subjects. But I also believe that this is a great thing for us, because I think that this will bring our state and our district in the right direction. I also believe that we do need to be, like Vika said, we need to be able to stand up to Massachusetts testing. I think that Common Core is going in the right direction.
The next question, starting with Ms. McCllintock, is when making decisions for the district, what sources or people will you consult for information?
Wow. Well, over the years, I've consulted with a lot of our staff at the district because they have a lot of historical knowledge. I have consulted with friends, family, peers. I work every day in an organization that manages facilities all across the country, and so I know a lot of people who do this every day. And we have several board members who have education experience, and we have hundreds of teachers and other professionals who are fabulous sources of information. Once we get our board packet, the first thing I do is start asking questions, and we've got...
Mr. Schmoll?
I want to touch more on the last question on Common Core. I think the low Common Core standards are still low, even though they are federally the same across the board for multiple states. I think Arizona deserves better than a federal minimum. I think we should definitely try and achieve better than the minimum. And there's a lot of information on things like Facebook on Common Core. I've seen fake articles about sex ed on Common Core on Facebook that just simply weren't true. So it's really a struggle when there's so much misinformation out there. But it's important that we focus on critical thinking, math, science, reading, and writing, and teaching the subjects rather than teaching to the test. And back to the original question, I certainly consult teachers, parents, students, and community members, as well as the superintendent with any decision that we come across, and also my fellow board members.
Mr. Srivastava?
speaking with a teacher out in the audience tonight, and he said something a phrase that I like, that there are multiple truths. And I think that it's important as a board member, to understand and be willing to work with complexity. And that there are different perspectives that we have to keep in mind, and different stakeholder groups that we all always need to be wary of when we're making decisions. And part of that is the teachers. I think a lot of times teachers are left out of the process and are handed down decisions without having been consulted first. I think students we need to do a better job having students input on board. We need to have the community on board and parents on board as well. And I think that my background, focusing on my collaborative nature, I think in everything I do, I want to make sure that we are doing a much better job reaching out to everyone across the spectrum in our decisions and having them on board. Now, a big part of my campaign is social media. So far, I've spent a few $100s on reaching out to people who wouldn't otherwise hear from me, and I want to make sure that we look at more innovative ways to reach out to those. Apparently, the current way we're doing it isn't working.
Ms. Hodge, please.
I actually believe, like my fellow candidates, I believe that we need the community buy-in, and teachers is our greatest resource. I believe that teachers are our greatest resource. We definitely need to have more teacher input in everything we do. We most absolutely need students. This is their education. This is their future. They should be involved in every step process that we do. Parents, community, in our district. So I believe that we need the whole pie. I think it should be a whole pie with everybody included in it, meaning parents, community, teachers, parents, and students. So that's what I believe.
Ms. Clay?
I do believe that I would consult with the teachers. They spend the longest time with our children and in their classrooms. The students, there should be some kind of evaluation that we can do where the students can actually write an evaluation with the teacher. Same thing with the parents and our community. We are a whole. That's what makes our district so great. Yes, I would consult, of course, with the board. Because we all need to work together to make sure our kids get the best education possible. And I just want to clarify that because I have been a teacher for over 10 years, it would be a great honor for me to be on the board. It's a plus, it's not a negative for me to be a teacher. This is, after all, a high school governing board. So I bring that to the table. Thank you.
The next question, starting with Mr. Schmoll, is Tempe Union is projected to face declining enrollment, which reduces funding. If you had to choose between 1, recruiting more open enrollment students, and 2, asking the community for a 15% override, which would you support?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I've never been asked that. First off, I'd question the statistic for declining enrollment. I think it's pretty hard to predict the future going forward. There's just lots of moving factors. But if you look at the two options, we can bus more students in from surrounding districts. I know that there's plenty of students outside our district that would love to come to Tempe Union. Parents, commonly want to enroll their students here because they believe that their school isn't giving their kids a quality education that they deserve. And I think that those kids are definitely entitled to a quality education. The downside to that would be that we might be causing a declining enrollment in their school district. So there's a few factors to take into consideration. I'd definitely like to have a discussion with the community and all the people involved.
Mr. Srivastava?
So I'll answer the second part of the question first about the overrides. And I think that one thing we've done well in Tempe Union is express the need for funding when we go and ask people to give their hard-earned money to the district. So I don't know, we would have to do the calculus on whether 15% would be a good idea, whether we need it, but more specifically towards out-of-district students. I have a couple friends. One is a recruiter for Boeing and another is a recruiter for Cisco. And one thing they both told me that they were looking for as Fortune 500 recruiters, one thing they look for in new hires requires is ability to work with diversity. People of different backgrounds, people of different identities. And so it's important, I think, that we do encourage out-of-district students to come to Tempe Union, not only because it makes financial sense, not only because it makes logistical sense, but because it provides a better education to our students. And so I would actually promote that, because I think that, if you talk to teachers, you notice that when you have people of different backgrounds in the same class, you actually just get a better result in the class.
Ms. Hodge?
I agree with Deacons. I believe that we, out of district students, I think that they deserve the chance to go to our 7 wonderful schools that we've had a chance to, send our kids to. So I do believe that. I also believe that I would actually kind of do maybe both, because I think that we could do the district, that should be always on the table to have open enrollment for our kids to come to our district, regardless if we're declining or if they just want to come because they think that's the best school for them at that time. But I also believe in the overrides, and I think it's done a great job. I've seen a lot of overrides since I've graduated from here, and I've seen overrides since my kids have been here. So I believe in the percentages of overrides, but I also believe that we should have definitely have kids come in from out of state district.
Ms. Clyde?
Well, Arizona has definitely grown since I moved here in '89. We have so many more schools, and we're also competing with them. I believe that, first of all, I would not vote for an override unless I have a budget and I know where it's going. I like to have things spelled out, line by line, and it's not very evident on the website, may I say, because I have looked at it. It shows us how communication of our district is not effective because we don't have no parents here. Thank you all for coming, but we should be full because this is regarding our kids. As for open enrollment, yes, school choice is great. It's great for kids to be able to get the best education, but I also believe that we overwork our teachers with having too many kids in the classroom. I have a son who has 39 kids in his AP Physics. That is too many kids. So yes, I believe in override. In open enrollment.
Ms. McClanahan, please.
We have demographers who tell us every year that our population of high school age students is decreasing, but they don't predict a decline in enrollment. In fact, we're not having a decline in enrollment. This year we had 206 more students enroll in our schools than the year before, and that's with a declining population of high school students. So we're getting students from outside the district. It's not a tough recruiting job. They come here because we have excellent schools. And in fact, if we didn't have those students, almost 2,400 of them this year, we'd have a $16 million budget deficit. And that would not give us smaller class sizes. It would not even give us larger class sizes. It would give us the opportunity to choose which of our high schools we would close.
This next question will probably take me a minute to read, so good luck responding. But for Mr. Srivastava, many of you have mentioned the importance of efficiency. What departments do you believe are currently inefficient, and what cuts specifically is underlined would you make to the district to bring more money to the classroom? For example, transportation, maintenance, athletics, libraries, information technology, human resources counselors, teaching and learning, etc.
Wow.
I can answer that in 1 minute.
Okay, so I did mention earlier, and I'll expand on it, on how I feel like collaborating with other governments can help us save money. So for example, I spoke with the CFO of Kyrene School District, and he talked to me about how if we coordinated on transportation, if we coordinated on warehousing, if we coordinated on facilities management, on waste management, we could save money. And we could get the benefits of something like unification without having to deal with the negatives of unification. And so I would like to see us focus on that, but that requires leadership. And that requires leadership that's willing to take people who have different stakeholder groups, different needs, and sit them down at the same table and hash through some pretty difficult stuff. And so I want to be that leader. I want to make sure that we look at saving money on the things that need to be done, but don't actually provide that relevant 21st century education in the classroom and in those activities that help students.
Ms. Hodge?
Yes, I agree with Deacon. I cannot see taking anything away from our children. I would be more inclined to do with the maintenance. Maybe we can actually partner with the city of Tempe. You know, they have to cut their grass, we got to cut ours. Maybe we can do with Tempe Elementary School, schools near our area, we can always collaborate that. But I would never take resources away from a classroom or any activity, extra activity, regular the core classes in any way. So I would definitely check into the maintenance part of our district to see if we can do the collaborative more with our city and our other partners with our other districts.
Ms. Clay?
I believe our children need the best education possible. We all invest this much. I would not cut anything when it comes to academics, athletics, or extracurriculars, because that makes a whole person, in my opinion. We need to have our children active. If they're not active, they will get in trouble. They will get sidetracked. As much as our bodies need exercise, so do our brains. So I would never cut any of that. Maybe perhaps if I were on the board and I would see that we have too much at the top, perhaps on administrative level, if that needs to be a little bit thinned out, then maybe that's where I would do the cutting. Because I believe teachers need all they can have. They should be paid more, and they should be supported, and should be retained for being excellent.
Ms. McClanahan?
We've actually made some really good strides in the last several years. We've been working with Kyrene and Tempe Elementary to buy products with them, to warehouse them together, to share our resources. I think there are additional ways we can do that around transportation. I've been advocating that we do that around technology as well, because we have some superb resources in our elementary districts that we can use. We've also been working on a rather large sustainability project. Utilities are increasing every year, much higher than almost any commodity that we have to pay for. And we need to heat and cool and light these facilities, so that's a huge expense. And I think everything we can do to help reduce that. We have to reduce our consumption in our schools just to keep up with the additional costs there.
Mr. Schmoll?
Well, that was quite a winded question. I'm optimistic about the future. The current political climate is, education and funding in our schools. So I would expect that there would be a solution to school funding within the next couple of years. With that being said, it's looking like higher fixed costs are happening. You can't deny. Your utility bills are going up, the cost of gasoline is going up. So that does leave less of the pie, and that's why it's important that our schools get that inflationary funding that it's looking like we are going to get, according to some court rulings recently. Some of the ideas I would look to other school districts to see what they've done throughout the state and in other states to find ideas for efficiencies and copy those.
2 questions left. This one starting with Ms. Hodge. Do you see charter schools as an asset or detriment to Tempe Union High School District and its students?
Thank you for the easy one. Actually, I see it as, I don't see it as an asset, and I'll see why. Because with public schools, it's regulated by the state. So we know that our kids are getting regulated education. And I'm afraid that sometimes charter schools may not have the same regulations, but they're getting funding like regulation. And I believe that's taken away from public schools, which has been a wonderful asset throughout our lives. You know, I went to public schools and I did well. So to answer that question, I don't see anything like that.
Ms. Clyde?
I worked my last 3 years in a charter school. I bring them to this environment. I believe charter schools are great competition. We need to be ahead of them. This is why I want to serve on the board. I want to make sure our teachers are supported, they are well funded, and we have the best education possible so our kids don't have to go to charter schools. Because if they do, we will end up closing our schools. We won't be able to fill our schools. So I do believe choice is an American thing, and we should, as parents, have a choice of where we send our kids, but it's up to our district to be the best choice for them to take. Thank you.
Ms. McClanahan?
Like Common Core and so many other things, whether or not we have charter schools in our neighborhoods is not something that a governing board weighs in on. That's what we do when we go and vote every year. I believe that there are good charter schools and there are bad charter schools. They're good public schools. We have 6 of them that are A-rated. We have an A-rated district. And I think as long as we continue to provide excellence in teaching and learning, we will continue to have those A-rated schools. And charter schools will be an option for some parents and some students who need that, but we will continue to be an option for students, not just in our district, but outside of our borders who come or who send their students here.
Mr. Schmoll?
I agree with Viola and Deanne. Charter schools, they're keeping us public schools responsible, and they keep us competitive, and it's good to have that competition because it makes it so that we strive to be better constantly, because we know the parents have a choice and can take their kids somewhere else. And as Deanne said, there's good schools that are charter schools, and there's bad schools that are charter schools. And it's just important that the parents are aware that we are faced with some choices, and the public school system doesn't operate the same way as charter schools, and we can do the best that we can with what we've got.
Mr. Srivastava?
I'm not going to beat up on charters. I think on a local level, there are good ones and bad ones, as was stated before. One of my interns goes to basis. As a system, if it needs reform, you all should talk to your legislative candidates about that. There's a lot going on there too. Specifically in relation to as a governing board member, I think what we need to focus on is using our public school assets and our district's assets to maintain the quality of our schools, and then also have a vision of focusing on being innovative and smarter about how we teach our students, so that we improve further and deliver the best education we can to our students.
A long one to wrap it up, starting with Ms. Clyde. How are you preparing students for college? The atmosphere and the way things are taught/learned is different, and many students don't know how to thrive, not just survive. How are you going to support teachers to teach students these important skills?
Well, first of all, I would be one to communicate with the teachers. They are our best resource. They're full of information. We need to listen to them. We need to acknowledge what they need. We need to support them. As of for Common Core, we only have assessment to 11th grade math. It's not enough. We need more. We need to challenge our kids. Right now, I believe that our teachers know the best how to challenge them. They don't need to be told, they don't need to be trained how to teach. Suddenly, we need to take them from the classroom and train them so they can teach again. They already have their teaching degree and they are great at it. We need to be supportive of them and listen to them.
Ms. McCllintock?
Would you mind repeating the question?
Sure. How are you preparing students for college? The atmosphere and the way things are taught and learned is different, and many students don't know how to thrive, not just survive. How are you going to support teachers to teach students these important skills?
So I think that's really the focus of the Arizona College and Career Ready Standards is to help change the way that we teach and the way that our students learn, so that they can go out into higher education and into careers with the skills that they need. And so I think one of the best things we can do to prepare them for that is what we're doing right now, which is having our teachers refocus the way they are teaching through those standards and through a new set of curriculum to make sure that we address what our colleges and what our employers are saying that our students lack when they get out of high school.
Mr. Schmoll?
Heard some very good points. I agree with Viola. We definitely need to support the teachers and make sure that they have all the tools and resources that they need. But the question is focused just towards sending kids to college. The fact of the matter is in certain high schools, a lot of kids don't go to college, and we need to prepare them for career and life after high school because they're going to go straight into a trade or get trained on the job. So it shouldn't all just be focused towards sending kids to college because it's not just a universal thing. Not every kid goes to college. Not every kid can afford to go to college. But those that do go to college, or even those that go off and work, they need to be critical thinkers. They need to know how to read and write on a college level.
Mr. Srivastava?
I want to push back on this general sentiment that not every student is cut out for college, and I get that. Not every student will go, but 80-something% of jobs in the next decade will require some sort of further education after high school, whether it's technical school, college, or university. We need to prepare students, even if they don't go right away, but when they exit high school with the knowledge to succeed in life afterwards. And so so whether it's college specifically. The basic point that we need to have high standards, we need to promote mastery of the subject material, and we need to be relevant in what we teach is important. So for example, we have a problem with disengagement in the classroom. But when I teach students, when I teach financial literacy, I'm teaching algebra and I'm teaching math. And I just put dollar signs in front of it and all of a sudden no one complains. When I teach technical skills, I teach in the realm of how to use 3D printers. And that's cool and it's interesting and it lights a fire in students. And whether you put a ball in front of someone or a paintbrush in their hand or a computer,
Ms. Hodge, please.
we need to make sure we're relevant.
I think that children need that next step. I think that regardless if they're going into a college, if they're going into a career, if they're going into a trade school, I think that we give our teachers the resource and the backing and support. I think that we can send the children in the right direction. As everybody said before, every child's not geared towards college, but I believe every child should be ready if that's what they want to do with their life after high school. I believe that we should have our kids, our next generation, be ready if they want to walk into the workforce or if they want to go into a trade school. So I believe that it all comes down to educating our students and making sure that our teachers have the right resources to educate our students.
That is it for the questions segment. Please, if you would like to give a 1-minute closing statement, starting with Ms. Hodge, please.
I just want to start off by saying thank you to McCllintock High School for having us here. It's wonderful to get out there and get your point across. I want to thank all my candidates for bringing the different ideals and different adversaries to the table. I also want to thank our administration for actually being here, our board members, and definitely staff, I want to thank our students. I do believe that this is why I run the New Manor campaign, because regardless if it's just 1 or 100 kids, people in here, there's people in this community that do care, and I'm just happy to see that you're here, and thank you so much for showing up.
Ms. Clyde?
And I want to thank also all of you for coming, especially the children. You guys are our inspiration, you are our future. I have a lot of confidence that you're going to do great things, achieve great things in life after high school. But as a board member, I will intend to work hard to stay fully informed on all the topics so that the greater community would feel well served by my thoughtful contributions to our challenges. Those of you who already know me understand that I am passionate and dedicated to education. I will be supportive of our teachers and do my level best to represent our community of parents and students, always keeping in mind the value of preserving our district's good reputation. Thank you again for your time.
Ms. McClanahan?
Thank you. Our goals in the district are first to increase student achievement. And we do that every year. We get a little bit better, and every year we need to continue to get a little bit better at student achievement and closing those gaps. A second goal is to recruit and retain highly effective, diverse staff. We do that. We need to get better at it. A third goal is to nurture relationships with our communities. We're doing that tonight. You're here. We need to continue doing that. To do those things, we need leadership on the board, we need experience on the board, and we need you to engage the rest of the community so that we can continue to provide an A-rated district and the best of public education for every one of our students. Thank you.
Mr. Schmoll?
You've heard us talk about a lot of complex issues here that, in all honesty, they can't be fairly discussed in 1 minute. It's just not a fair amount of time for some of these questions. But you got to make your decision based on the information you have. And I'd be honored to once again have your vote, and I promise I won't let you down. I want to focus on higher standards, better communication from the district, and more parent involvement. Thank you.
Lastly, Mr. Srivastava.
I guess since I'm closing, I just wanted to thank you all for coming out here today. Once again, I'm just so impressed by the crowd here. It's important to talk about collaboration and having a board that listens to parents and students and all that. And it's important to me to walk the walk, literally. Our team has, 2 of them are here, Eric and Emily are sitting right there. We've knocked 6,000 doors, we've called over 3,000 people, and every person I talk to, I give them my cell phone and I ask, what are your thoughts about the schools? What are your thoughts about education? And I want to bring that to the board. I want to bring that work ethic to the board to make sure that everyone is involved and that we promote a relevant 21st century education so that every student is prepared for college, career, and life when they leave these schools. We have a great district, and I just want to make it better. My name doesn't mean good enough. It means progress. So if you want to learn more about me, go to my website, vicusmeansprogress.com. You can give me a call too. It's on every single paper I give away. So you can look out there. Thanks.
That concludes this portion. Please, let's get a round of applause.
McCllintock High's first ever candidate forum. Please enjoy refreshments on our patio, and please remember to vote on your early ballot or on November 4th. Have a great night.